a common theme that I've noticed in my life, which I'm sure a lot of people experience, is I've waited a long time for some point off in the future where I think that everything will be good or things will be stable in some way, shape, or form. And not to say that all the problems will be solved, but the bigger problems that I have now that stop me from doing the things that I want to do will be solved, and then I can do the things that I want to do, if that makes sense. So I've talked before about spending issues or debt and finance, and a part of me has always put off so much of life, thinking that once I clear these issues, then I can enjoy myself. And I think that once these things are done, once they're off my mind, because they're always in the back of my head, they're always gnawing at me. And so I feel I can't enjoy myself in the way that I want to, or do things in the way that I want to, until these things are done. And for example, with spending, I think about taking trips, or I think about joining a sports league or doing something on a regular basis that costs money, like joining a rock climbing gym or doing combat sports, something that is pretty pricey. Most of those things cost over $100 a month. And when it comes to that bigger expense, I feel uncomfortable doing it because I think, well, this money should go to investing, or this money should go to paying off debt or clearing debt or whatever. And so I hold myself back from doing those things. And the thing is that those are things that I really want to do, but I keep depriving myself of them because I feel like I can't truly enjoy them, or I feel guilty spending this money knowing that I have these other things on my head that need where other things where the money should be going. And what I've noticed is when I deny myself the things that I actually want to do, like these bigger things, joining a specific type of gym or taking a trip, especially. I have so many places that I wanted to go and I haven't gone because I can't rationalize spending the money. I end up getting more frustrated because life then kind of becomes this thing where I'm wiring myself with just pain constantly and no sense of reward. And what happens for me is I don't start trying to, I just start seeking cheap dopamine and easy things that I can do day to day to give me some kind of joy. And that ends up being much worse in the long run because those things inevitably end up costing more money than if I just, took a trip somewhere and felt good, and or put the money towards a hobby or something else. And so I kind of stay stuck in this loop where I don't do the things that I want because I feel like I need to be in a much better financial situation or much better situation in life. Always just something off in the future. Like once I have this, once I have X, then I can do Y. Once I clear X, or like once I clear Y, then I can do Z, whatever it is. And the longer that I do that, the more that I do that, the worse I feel. And the worse I feel, the more I want to escape that feeling of not feeling, of being joyless, essentially, of living a joyless life. And I end up spending that money anyway, trying to escape this pain that I'm constantly putting myself in, this constant wiring of pain. And then I lose on all fronts. I spend more money than I need to. I spend more money than I would have spent if I had just done the thing that I wanted to do, which is take a trip or, join a gym and make time for the hobby or the class or whatever. And I spend money on stuff that makes me feel good in the moment, like eating out or going out with friends too frequently, or, any number of bad habits that a lot of us have. And then I feel worse. And then when you feel worse, it triggers this guilt, and it triggers this kind of addiction to cheap dopamine. So you don't like what you did, but then you keep doing it because you feel worse, you don't feel good, and so you want to escape that pain, and so you escape it by doing the thing that you shouldn't have been doing in the first place, or by doing the thing that you give more attention and time to versus the things that you actually want to do. And it doesn't just have to be with money. It's also with working towards a bigger goal, working towards something that, if you want something big, you have to sacrifice the things you do day to day. But if you keep sacrificing the bigger thing by not holding yourself down and doing the kind of BS stuff day to day, then you just end up in this downward spiral. You end up in this cycle of pain, and you never quite end up doing what you want to do. And then before you realize it, so much time has gone by, and and then you start to understand that just isn't that much time anymore. And it doesn't mean just getting older, but it also means like day to day things just change. And if I look back to 5 or 10 years ago when I was younger, I seemed to have a lot more time to do the things that I wanted to do. 10 years ago when I was working for startups, I also had time somehow to go and join intramural sports leagues with my coworkers and go to games every week. And I would see my friends much more often. We would go out and do things much more often. So I had a lot more time then, and most of those things don't even happen anymore. Nowadays, nobody has any time to even do the things that we used to do. And I don't quite know what it is that's caused that to change, because you would think, well, everyone's kind of in the same schedule. Everyone's just working. Why can't we keep playing sports? Why can't we keep going out? Why can't we keep going to festivals? But you weirdly have these time constraints now. So you have less and less time. And if you really don't lock in and sacrifice the smaller things for the big things, then eventually you're going to get to a point where you just can't do them. And I'm at that point now, and it's actually a very scary thought. And it's something that I realized the other day, which was that I keep putting my life on hold. I put it on hold quite a few times because I keep thinking, well, let me clear all these other things. But then when it comes time to actually hold myself down and clear them in a way that it's going to be effective, I try to escape with cheap dopamine and things that are not good for me. And then, and by doing that, I end up pushing the dream out even further and further out, to a point where it almost feels like the dream itself becomes impossible. But the thing is that the dream isn't impossible. There's a lot of people that start later in life, whatever that means. And most of the time they say that, most of the things that people who do that will say is that they wish they had started sooner. And they tell you that you can start sooner. They said, like, I made excuses my whole life and I'm glad I'm finally doing it now. And the truth of the matter is that you can do it now. You just have to hold yourself down. You have to have some level of discipline. You can't do anything without discipline. But you also have to look at things from a mechanical perspective and logistically look at your life. And you have to see, where does my time go? Because you have the same amount of time, for the most part, as you did before. Maybe you have some other obligations if you have a family, if you have kids, so things are a little bit different. But if you don't, then you have the same amount of time. And you're probably just burning it doing things you shouldn't be doing anyway. Or doing things because they're easy, right? Like, playing video games might be fun, but if you're getting to a point where video games are taking up most of your time, then you're sacrificing your future for those games. Those games feel good now, but wouldn't it be more fun if you worked on a business? Wouldn't it be more fun if you took that time to, join a gym of some kind, or join a run club, or join something, just something. Do anything else with that time. And yeah, maybe the initial few days or weeks are going to suck if it's something physical or just something new that you're doing. But if you stick with it, you'll have a feeling in the long run that you wouldn't get no matter how good you became at a game, or no matter how good you became at whatever it is that you're doing day to day that's easy, while you're sacrificing the thing that you actually want. And it doesn't mean that you have to never ever do the things that you like doing, or the small things or the easy things, but there should be a cap on those things, right? Like, things that have a low barrier to entry, like playing video games or going out with your friends all the time. There's nothing wrong with those things, but they should be done in moderation. And they should not be done in a way where you sacrifice the bigger goals that you have in your life. Because I think the worst thing, like, regret is definitely the worst thing that you can feel when it comes to your own goals in your own life. Knowing that you could have done more and you didn't. Knowing that you could have sacrificed for something that you wanted more and you didn't. And even outside of just the time not being there, eventually the energy isn't there. And you get to a point where you start convincing yourself, like, maybe I didn't want that goal to begin with, but you're really just suppressing this need or this desire that you had. And that pain's going to keep growing and growing. And I think it's dangerous because if you get to a point where you're in a relationship or life goes on, and then you just don't have the time, you end up blaming everybody else because you don't want to face the reality that you were your own biggest problem, that you held yourself back. So I think it's very important to not put your dreams off until some magical point in the future where everything's going to be fine. You have to go forward every single day towards what you want to do. And that means not doing things that you are doing right now. You don't get an extra hour in the day. You don't stack things on top of whatever you're doing day to day. You have to take something out. You have to remove something so that you can make time and make room for the thing that you actually want. And as tough as it is, especially as you get older, if you just do it, if you start doing it, it becomes easier. The first day that you do it, it becomes easier. And if you stick with it and you're consistent, then you can get to a point where you really start to enjoy yourself. And that applies in different ways. It doesn't have to be, the examples that I gave. But even if you look at like taking a trip, like it's if you haven't taken a trip before, you haven't done something, it can be daunting. But the thing is that if you're like me and you have a list of places you want to go visit and you haven't gone to visit any of them, you can start crossing that list off if you make sacrifices day to day and don't spend your money on dumb stuff. And even if you never make it down that list, at least at some point you can look back and have a lot of memories and a lot of joy, and you can feel confident in the fact that you sacrificed day to day so that you can make that trip happen, or you can make something big happen for yourself down the road, as opposed to getting to a point where you look at the list and realize you never went anywhere and now there's no time to go anywhere. Because I can only imagine that pain is probably some of the worst pain that most people feel. So I guess what I'm saying is there's no perfect future time. There's no perfect time in the future where everything's going to align and you'll be able to do everything that you want to do. Anything that you want to do has to happen now. So figure out what it is that you want and go for it. And this doesn't have to be some crazy big goal. It could just be something as simple as literally is taking a trip or taking on a hobby that nobody else understands, but you really want it to be a part of your life. You can't keep putting life on hold. The longer you put life on hold, the harder it becomes to actually follow through with it and make anything happen with it. And I think one of the biggest regrets that people have is that they didn't live life the way that they wanted to live it. So if you could take anything from this, don't keep putting your life on hold.